Hi, I'm Chrissy,
And I'm Haley.
and welcome to Talking Shit.
So, what are we talking shit about today?
We are talking about who you portray to be.
Yeah, that's a really good one. We're not doing it just on social media, but that's
Yeah.
a main source of it are people who they portray on that. But we're gonna start with what life.
Well, going back to social media, though, you think about it, and I mean, you know, some people do put some negativity on there, but if I get in so it's kind of like, is there a gray area? If I get in a fight with my husband, I say often, I'm like, well, he's perfect. We have the perfect marriage. And for us, we do have the perfect marriage. Even our fights are perfect because with them we grow. So but I don't go on social media and be like, so me and my husband got in a fight today.
Many people do though.
But yes,
I see what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, but I'm not.
I feel like there's different levels of it. Like, are you fake on social media? Do you portray yourself?
Right.
No, like
Because I don't feel like I'm fake.
No, not you, but I'm saying like, oh, I'm so sweet, I'm so innocent, but then in real life you're like, yeah, let's drink it up.
Yeah,
It's
like you're a mean girl,
Yeah.
but you post all this sweet
So a
stuff.
long time ago, I used to have, which I mean, I don't really put much other than like workout videos or things like, that on my social media. But when like Facebook, you would upload things all the time, like sayings, or
Yeah.
if you had something to say. I always try to have this rule for myself. And obviously I failed at it sometimes, but if it wasn't positive or being shed in a positive light, it didn't have a place on social media.
Yeah.
Because social media is not a place for your dirty laundry. We've all done it. I'm just saying,
Right.
it really truly isn't, because those people out there, you have 1,000 friends. You think those 1,000 people really care about your life?
No. A lot of
They
stuff
care about eating the popcorn,
Right,
while
right,
they're watching
exactly.
the show.
I put a lot of pictures on Facebook, and a lot of it is almost like my safe keeping for my pictures. I try to put them in albums so they're easy to find and stuff. I do a lot of business on social media, and I do put a lot of personal stuff out there. And the reason is because I connect with a lot of people in that manner. So I've actually gotten a lot of sales from who I am on social media because people can relate to me, and that makes them want to work with me, But I do think that definitely, I mean, there's a lot that I don't put on social media, especially like the negativity and stuff. But anyway, so, you brought up social media, and I'm like, to start it, I don't want people to think that we're saying, you have to be exactly who you portray to be on social media, because obviously you're not going to put on there. Well, you shouldn't put on there if you're at a difference with your spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's different levels to it. I think that there are plenty of people out there who they do portray themselves to be one way on social media. And then you meet them in the real life. It's almost kind of like a movie star. Like,
Yeah.
everybody can be their own movie star in their own movies these
Yeah.
days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, when I was growing up, I always thought, oh my gosh, you go on screen, you can see him, but then like say you meet him in person, they're actually kind of a rude asshole.
Hudson has had that experience because his dad takes him to a lot of signings. The kid is obsessed with sports, and so he is very lucky and gets to go meet a lot of famous people, athletes and stuff. And he just said the other day, his dad took him to a Pacers game, and I don't know who the players were, but they were on the other team. And he said, I always liked those players, but they were not very nice to us kids. And he's like, I don't think I like them anymore. I mean,
that's just exactly what I'm saying.
But we went to Hudson's a huge Texans fan because CJ Stroud is his all-time favorite person. So CJ Stroud, if you're listening to this,
I'm sure he is.
He is.
Of all the podcasts, he's gonna
listen to us. Yeah. So actually Hudson got to meet his mom, and Hudson's lifetime sitter had a CJ Stroud sweatshirt made for Hudson with his name on it and stuff. And CJ's mom saw the sweatshirt and talked to Hudson and stuff. Anyway, so Hudson's dream is to meet CJ Stroud. But last year, not this season, but the last season, my husband and I had taken Hudson to a Colts and a Texans game. And the Texans came up, and Hudson's in full Colts gear, because you have to wear Colts gear on the field.
Oh, yeah.
In full Colts gear, helmet and everything. And the Texans came up and were fist bumping Hudson. And I think that started his love for the Texans, because it's not like he's met all of them, but it seems as if the players on the Texans really do love their fans. And so that's neat for a little kid. So that's really shaped Hudson.
Well, I mean, they're nothing without their fans. So.
Exactly. And at a young age, he's realized that it doesn't matter your status. If you're not a nice person, he doesn't want anything to do with you. So
Exactly. So you either have to be who you are, and everybody will fail.
Be who
Sometimes
you portray.
be who you portray. Same thing as in life. If you go around giving advice or telling people this or telling people that, and then
Live it.
you don't really live that
Yeah.
yourself.
Right.
So let's talk about that aspect sometimes. I mean, there's people who will go around, they think they know your life, they want to give you your 2 cents, but then they don't even or
Live it
they're
themselves.
not even living that themselves.
Yeah.
They're not who they're portraying.
Right. Yeah. Well, everybody has an opinion. I mean, opinions are like assholes, right? Everyone's got one.
I think everybody has two assholes these days. They have two opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what those opinions are, but I'm just saying, like, everybody's opinions are out of the
Shit everywhere.
There's like shit everywhere. We got one asshole now. Everybody's got so many opinions. We got at us.
Oh, I mean, is this the other asshole?
That band-aid on it.
Well, I mean, that's true. Everybody does have an opinion, and that's okay. Everybody is allowed to have an opinion. But it's kind of like that one episode we were talking about. If you're going to say something to somebody or give them advice, if it's really not productive or something that they can actually make a change to, don't.
That's what I was just getting ready to say.
Yeah.
Because you said everybody's allowed an opinion. Everybody's allowed their opinion.
Yeah.
Nobody's allowed opinion on my life unless I let you know you're
Well,
allowed an opinion.
they are.
on my
They
life.
they can
They
have.
can think what they want, and they can keep their opinions to themselves, but they don't need to bring them.
Everybody can have an opinion, but the reality of it is it's not your problem. It is what other people think of you is not your problem, but are you portraying who you are to your true ability? Is that your true self? So who you're putting out there, this isn't a question for you. Yeah.
I was thinking.
But yeah, is that, like who you truly are, and one thing people say about me often is that you do not have to guess how I feel about you. Now, I'll be respectful. There's even people that I don't necessarily care for. I'm mature enough to be respectful and nice, and especially in gatherings.
I think that it's easy for me to be who I portray myself to be because I just am who I am. People say, "Oh my gosh, she's crazy," or but every woman
Let's
can
define crazy.
Yeah, let's define crazy.
Yeah.
Am I passionate? Yeah, I can be passionate.
See, that's the thing.
Extremely passionate about the things I care
Passion,
about.
right? It's passion. It's not crazy.
There has been times where, yes, I do feel like in my life I've been a little bit crazy. I've been going through things. I may have lost my shit a little bit, but also didn't hide it. I also didn't pretend that, I'm this person who I don't lose my shit at times. I don't get angry. I don't cuss. I don't, scream and yell. Those are things I've learned as habits. So I think it's just easy for me to be who I portray myself to be because for the first time in my life, I really just don't care what other people's opinion of me are. My people, and I know they like me, and anybody else, I'll be nice. You're more than welcome, but
Well, I think, from a young age, parenting, we try to shape our children into these beings that we want them to be. And I mean, I did it myself with my daughter. We're a lot alike, but we are so different in some aspects in life. And I had this vision of what my daughter was going to be, and she is nothing like I thought she was going to be. She absolutely, like, I love who she is. There's so many great things about her that sometimes she'll do things and I'm like, man, I just wish that I had that same mentality as her, um and as mothers, we react out of fear often, with all of our kids. And so we try to shape these people. And what we're doing is we're training them that everybody needs to like them. And, so I learned with Hudson, and I don't do that. I learned through my other kids.
These are things that like we were taught when we were growing up. So like, let's say for instance, boys, they're taught, you don't cry. You well, even girls too. My parents used to say, I'll give you something to cry about. Like, and kids, that's one thing, that's a saying that we say to our kids.
Yeah.
I'll give you something to cry about. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is just my opinion. When we say that to our kids and they're going through something, we're telling them that they shouldn't feel that emotion. They should suck it up. And there are times when, yes, a child's throwing a fit and you're like, I am going to give you something to cry about if you told them no for the toy. There's other instances where like they may be really going through things, and when they're doing that, don't tell them you can't cry about it. Don't tell them you can't feel that emotion. I know that's the opposite of probably what you and I have been taught. I mean, I'm not on board with like letting them act like brats and things like that, but you have to teach your kids to feel the feelings, but in a healthy way.
Right.
So while yes, kicking and screaming or throwing a fit, that's not a good way. But if they're just crying and like saying, just sad, I just want to work,
Well, and I've always
there's
said,
no fault in that. And I can't stand when people are like, boys don't cry. Well, that's toxic masculinity. Anybody can cry. A man, I don't feel less about a man if he cry. Now, maybe if he was like dropped a dumbbell on his foot and started crying, now maybe I might be like,
I would cry if I dropped a dumbbell on my
you're not a
foot.
man.
Yeah.
We're laughing because it's an inside
We're
joke.
not giving
Yeah.
that, we're not going to give that person credit
No.
on this podcast. Anyway, but I say often, we expect these young children to understand their feelings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. Hell, we don't understand our feelings at 40 and 50 sometimes. How can we expect these small children to understand their feelings? And here we want them to be them true selves, but them true selves to what we say they can be.
Correct. I'm 42 and I'm just learning how to see my emotions and control
Yeah,
them and
and
things like that.
understand them.
Yeah, and understand why I do what I mean, how do you look at a 6-year-old and say, don't you act like that? Or there's other
Well, and we've
there's
been
other
guilty.
things.
We've been guilty of
Correct.
it. Yeah.
There's other things besides the discipline aspect of it too, like I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it doesn't just relate when it comes to discipline. It's
Yeah.
all the areas.
Right.
Don't put your kids in a box where you want them to be who you are
Want them to be.
portraying them
Right.
to be.
Well,
Let
because-
them be who they are learning and
Yeah.
need to be successful in life. Because
Some
everybody
boundaries.
has their own journey.
With some
Correct.
boundaries,
Yes.
for sure. Yeah, because then, if you have such a strict rope on your children when they get into their teenage years or older, they're going to go wild. Or maybe they'll follow your direction all the way until they get into college.
So the other aspect of that is your kids can see when you are portraying to others who you say you
Yes.
are and when you really are who you are.
Yeah.
So don't set a bad example for your kids too, that you're this way on the outside to other people, but in the home.
Another thing that we heard growing up, though, you do as I say, not as I do.
Correct. I don't
No.
like it. I don't
No.
like it.
Well, no,
we
because
should
most
do an
people-
episode on that sayings that like we've grown up with or sayings that are
Yeah.
out there in the world that really just debunk them all. Really,
Yeah.
they're not. That's not the way it is.
Yeah.
Or that's not the way it should be.
Well, on a positive light, if I'm doing positive things, like I do believe in leading by example, Well, okay, you're not 21, you can't drink. Well, you drink. Well, it's legal for me to drink. It's not legal for you to drink. So, of course, it's within those boundaries and stuff. But yeah, I hate that. Do as I say, not as I do. I get up and I go to the gym almost 7 days a week, and not always to weight train, but get up and move. A lot of it's a mental thing for me. And I encourage my children to go to the gym. We even bring Hudson. We've brought Hudson to the gym for years, It's about getting up and moving, pushing yourself.
It's about being who you portray
Yeah.
to the world.
Right.
On that aspect. We don't just come in here every morning and shoot a 10-minute video that we could put on social media and we're like, yes, we got our videos for the day. We
No,
didn't
we gotta
actually work out. We actually do the workout.
We do several
I mean,
reps
that's
before
just
we do several reps before we shoot that video because we want the blood flow in our arms to make us look bigger than
Yes.
we are.
So that's just another example. Friends, are you who you portray you are or who you say you are with your friends?
Yeah.
That there's so many different levels to that. Like, one of the biggest things in friends, dating, all of that kind of thing is loyalty to me. So if you say you're loyal to me, just be loyal to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't talk behind your friends' backs, things like that. Don't say things behind their back that you wouldn't say to their face.
To their
So just be
face,
who you
right.
portray.
Yeah. And it's not, we've talked about this before too. It's not like, sure, we say things with being outside of the presence of one another occasionally to our group of friends. But the reality of that is it's not anything that we wouldn't really say to each other's face, or we're maybe looking for a different angle so we can understand a conversation or a remark that somebody made.
I don't portray myself as the kind of friend that's going to text you all day, that's going to cuddle you, that's going to...
We didn't even really talk yesterday.
No. And yeah, I was actually like, man, I got to get with Christine to make sure we're on the same page with the episode. But, that's exactly, we all have busy lives. And I don't portray myself that me and my best friends talk all day long, every day.
Some days
We do, but it's not all day, every day. Like,
No.
we're not out there portraying that we are the three amigos, but you can't.
the three amigos or the three stooges. It depends on the day.
Or come up with our own name. The
Yeah.
three, I don't know. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
And really, just being an authentic person, it's like, that doesn't mean passing judgment on other people for making different choices in their life, but just being true to who you are, to like what your own personal values are, and not letting society and other people encourage values that you truly don't believe in. I mean, I have lots of friends from different backgrounds, and we think differently, and a lot of them come to me for advice. But we have the same necessarily the same beliefs,
Yeah.
even parenting and relationships and stuff. I mean, it's funny because sometimes my husband and I will be around a group of people and there will be different interactions, and there's lots of things that other couples do that we don't practice in a relationship, and we don't judge them for it. We laugh at it sometimes because it's like seeing other couples interact that we know they love each other as much as we love each other. And it's fun.
Yeah. And it's just whatever works.
But they're authentic, they
Yeah.
don't hide their relationship. They don't hide who they are. We don't hide who we are.
I know. If I'm mad at somebody, somebody's gonna know. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my face says it.
Yeah. So the next, there goes your husband.
There's my
Oh my
husband.
God,
Come here. Let's
Do
come
you
here.
think he's here to pump your gas?
Yes. He needs to come in here and introduce himself. Can he get in, or is he locked out?
Oh, just
Come in and introduce yourself.
we're shooting right now.
Yeah, you're on.
This is
Here.
this is Chrissy's
This
husband.
is my husband.
Pumps her gas
That pumps my gas.
all the time. That
He
we
listens
hear
to our
about
podcast.
day in, day out.
He washes my dishes.
Is he for hire? No.
How much? Go away.
Okay, love you, bye.
Love you. Bye.
What's the show on today?
Being who you portray. Authenticity. Okay.
I'm portraying to be an electrician.
Love you. Bye.
So I saved the best one for spam calls. I saved the best one for last. Are you portray you are on, and you're not going to know much about this one, but you're good. I'm sure y'all have a lot to say.
Okay.
Dating sites. 6 months.
Oh, I got a story.
Gosh.
Okay, let's
Now tell me your story.
So this isn't about me. This is about Joe. So Joe and I, we actually broke up 2 different times, and then
This was before marriage.
we got married.
They were just
got back
dating,
together. Yeah. And he had been in a long marriage, and I was very scared that I didn't want to be a boundary person. So I didn't want to date and like him.
And that's a legitimate fear.
And usually when I get into a relationship, I like, it's a long standing relationship. And so I didn't want to, us to get into a relationship and him have regrets. He had 2 children. And
He
so
didn't date around. He had been married all this
Right.
time. Because that's honestly, that is
Yeah.
people's number one fear going into like dating someone else. How long have you been out of a relationship? Are you emotionally available? That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah,
But I just
and
want to
he,
get to that.
he had some things that he needed to work through from his marriage and stuff, his previous marriage. So anyway, so I encouraged him to date, right? And we stayed friends. He coached my child, and so we stayed friends. Whatever. We didn't talk all the time, but excuse me, he did not touch anybody. But you know what so it's funny because when we met, he was dead set like that it was going to be me. So he was respectful when he was dating around. He only dated out of town. He only dated one other person locally, but he dated out of town. So for that right there, he was on dating sites and set up a date to go to Fort Wayne. You're going to love this story. Now, my husband.
Fort so great. I
Yeah.
tell you what, all the people from the dating sites there that I've met are top notch.
Well, he sets up a date, okay? And my husband's very fit. And in a lot of the pictures that people put on these dating sites don't even, I don't know if they were taken 20 years ago or what. So my husband drives
Catfish.
Yeah. So he drives to Fort Wayne and he talks to these girls for a while, make sure that the conversation is there. And so he goes and he knocks on the door. And this woman comes to the door and she's very okay. She was such a great sport. She opened the door. She said to him, "Oh my gosh, you actually look like your picture." That's what she said to my husband. And my husband was like, and she was like, "I'm so sorry."
So she was kind of catfishing.
She did, yeah. And she was
I've never
like,
had that happen.
she said, "I know that I'm not your type." She was like, "We don't have to do this." Well, he really is like the most respectful. And he said, "No, we're going to go on a date." And so they went to eat. He said she was super nice, had a great conversation, whatever. And, he took her home and
It's sad.
he
What
hugged her.
the sad part I take away. Good for Joe that he did take her on
Yeah.
the date. The sad part I take away is because she feels uncomfortable
Well,
being herself,
being
that
who
nobody
she
would
is.
like her who she
Right,
is.
right.
That's what's sad
Yes,
to me.
that is so sad. And he was, he's just a gem. Like, he obviously, physical features are important to him. They're important to everybody. I
Yeah.
mean, to say they're not is a lie. And we definitely match. I cannot tell you how many times we've been out in public and people just literally say, "You guys just match." We really do match. We
Mhm.
match, in our passion, in our
Life, everything.
yeah, everything. And there's somebody for her too. And I hope that she found somebody, and I love that he still took her on a date. I love that he took her out and still had good conversation with her. He opened the door for her, bought her dinner and stuff. And she apologized and stuff. And I mean, obviously they didn't talk again after that. But Joe and I talked about this all the time. When we first started dating, you're nervous and you're trying to like show that person like the best version of who you are. Well, I didn't really have that opportunity with Joe because I mean, like, let's be honest, I was a hot mess. I had a newborn. I was trying to get my real estate career started. I mean, like, there was no hiding who I was. And that man dove head in. And he was such a rock star and such a rock for me. And he was, I mean, life changing for me. But I couldn't hide who I was. I was just truly my authentic self because, at that point it was,
Was what it was.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And there was just,
I almost think that like these dating sites are being used more for men to get hookups. Like first, and
yeah, it's under, yeah,
I mean, it's just, I feel like it's hard. I honestly do. I feel like it's hard to find.
So how do you know if you're your authentic self though? What do you do? Do you ask yourself, is it true? Like, you practice what you preach? I feel like I'm a pretty authentic person. Probably
Here's-
too authentic for
here's
most
what-
people.
Here's what a therapist has said to me once. If you sit around and you think about how you are, things you've said, or what people think about you, that kind of things, times out of 10, you probably are portraying yourself, because a person who portrays themselves as something they're not, they don't really care. They're not going to sit around and be like, "Oh, was I authentic today about this, or was I authentic about that?" They're going to put it out there and move on with their life and not give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's times where I overanalyze everything. So of course there's times I sit around and I'm like, do people think this about me? Do people think that about me? But if someone like,
Well,
if someone really was being fake, I don't think they would sit around. And I may be wrong. I don't think they would sit around and give it that thought.
if you're really worried about what people are saying and doing, you probably are true to yourself because you're intentional and you're cautious about, like what you do to how you affect other people's lives. So you probably are an authentic person, and who people are. Hell, who I was in my 20s or in high school to who I am now is completely different. I don't feel like really my morals and values have changed, but I've grown and I've matured and stuff. And so I think I've always been authentic to who I was in each stage of life. I love, my 40s have been my favorite.
That's a great thing what you just said. You're authentic to who you are in each stage of your life.
Yeah.
Like every day is different. So just be authentic every day. Not every day is gonna look the same,
Yeah.
but just be authentic to who you are and what your beliefs are.
And
I mean, there's not really else you can do.
You're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. I don't like tea.
There's what, probably, I don't know, close to 9 billion people on the face of the earth now. Like, there's no rule. You have to like everybody. You have to be nice. Remember that.
You have to be
You
nice.
have to be
Husband-
nice and not
husband-
disrespectful, but you don't have to get along, or
You don't have to be everybody's friend. You have
Yes.
to be nice to everybody, but you don't have to be everybody's friend. And there's this thing that I've seen going on around Facebook. Actually, a real estate agent shared it, and it was like, hey, all you kids in high school, remember that those people that you don't get along with right now, still show them some grace and compassion, because those are going to be your bankers, your attorneys, your real estate agents, your salespeople. So sure, you don't have to like each other in high school. Oh, and I've told all my kids, like, that's just such a that is 4 years of your life, and that's it.
For some people, they harbor and hold on to it.
Yeah, but that's the thing is really, you can only control yourself. So like what you need to do is just understand how you treat other people, and to be nice to other people regardless of their circumstances. And Lord knows that my daughter had to learn that the hard way, and she would come and say, this girl's being so mean to me, and da, da. And just a quick story before we wrap up about just that situation right there. So Mason was in kindergarten, and he came home and he had blue gum in his hair, and apparently this kid on the bus had just been mean daily to Mason. And so we used some peanut butter and got the gum out. And I wanted to tell Mason just to punch the kid right in the nose and break his nose. But I knew that that probably was not going to be the correct response, because how embarrassing and how mean. That's bullying to the max. So instead, I said, you know what, Mason? I think that this kid wants to be your friend. And so next time he's being mean to you, I just want you to look at him and say, do you want to be my friend? And it worked.
So you don't want to be my friend because you have gum.
I will tomorrow.
Black eyes.
Two black eyes, yeah.
No, that's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah, and so now there. Fast forward several years, there was a boy that bullied Mason on the bus, and he actually ended up being our neighbor, and it was.
Hurt people, man. There's usually
And
something going on behind
that
it.
kid really was jealous, and it was fueled by his parents. And I could talk about that whole situation for 2 hours. I confronted the school system because we couldn't get it to stop. But most of the time when somebody is acting out towards you or judging you or something, they're probably jealous of a certain aspect of your life. And so I keep saying this, but just show a little grace and compassion. And really, if that doesn't work, who cares what they think? What their opinion of you is none of your business.
Yep. I sit around and wonder, like, if things I said, how they have affected other people, but I don't sit around and wonder if people like me or not, because,
Yeah.
And I know you don't either.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't.
I'll always be my authentic self.
Yeah.
So that's a decision for you to decide whether you like me or you don't like me.
Yeah. And that's okay.
And if you don't, that's okay too. You just,
Yeah.
We don't have to.
We are not everybody's cup of tea. So, leading to our quote today, don't trade your authenticity for approval.
Oh man, that's so,
Yeah.
because that's really,
We need to teach our young people that.
correct. That's a good lesson, because the way that the world is today, everybody just wants approval. But let me tell you this, nothing you see, even pictures half the time, are not what you think they are on social media.
Yeah.
That's actually another episode we could possibly do, how social media affects your
And
self-esteem
if-
and things. And if
If you have ideas for an episode, message us or post a comment. And
email us, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for today. I'm Haley.
I'm Chrissy. Have a good week.
It's not